There you go, a little snippet of the Australian anthem. Who are my Australian expats who felt a little patriotic over those last few seconds? Well, some news out of Australia. In fact, surprise news coming from the Prime Minister of that country announcing that they're going to make a small change to their national anthem. Took effect on January 1st, changing that line for "We are one and free," and changing the line for "We are young and free," and replacing it with "For we are one and free." Should Canada follow suit by changing the national anthem to reflect First Nations, Indigenous communities? Let's go now to Cynthia, Wesley-Esquimaux, Truth and Reconciliation Chair at Lakehead University in Thunder Bay. Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Hi, good morning.
So, listen, this actually, in Australia, I'm told this was a bit of a surprise that the Conservative Prime Minister Scott Morrison made this announcement. Big reason why this was made after a tough year, big challenges, of course, with the pandemic, to unify the country, bring everyone together, including the Indigenous population of Australia. When you heard the news, what'd you think?
Well, I wondered, first of all, how much of a conversation they'd actually had with the Indigenous people on that, because when I looked at some of the news, I could see that they'd actually had quite a bit of consultation in government and with different officials, and had made this decision because it was a kind of a small, it's one word.
Yeah.
But I didn't really see that they'd actually had a conversation with the Indigenous people who had already also asked in 2017 for a voice in Parliament, which they weren't granted. So I think that, small changes, it's a small step forward, but I'm not so sure that it's going to be enough. And, the free part also, I think, would be a challenge for people to actually accept after what has gone on in Australia, Canada, United States, places where Indigenous peoples have been marginalized quite, for the last couple hundred years.
And of course, there's always the talk of, of actions versus words. And this is interesting because it is an action, but of course it involves one word,
One word. And they actually have, they have actually done some work on reconciliation action plans. In Australia. We had the Truth and Reconciliation Commission here, which right from the beginning we said this is not an Indigenous thing. This is a Canadian thing. This is where all Canadians to be actively engaged in and have to play a part in, so that it actually does bring people together. And I'm not so sure that they're actually at that place. It's going to take some time, I'm sure, for people to actually have that sense of inclusion and actually representation. But, in Canada, I wrote that article, several years ago, because they'd made the change here from in all of us command as opposed to in all our sons command.
That's
so
right.
that was more of a gender issue, I think, more than anything at that particular juncture. And of course, when I sing the song, I sing our home on native land as opposed to our home and native land.
That's what I wanted to get to is, when you think about, what changes to make and, you change the national anthem, people think it's the end of the world, right? You change one word. I remember in 2018,
tradition.
There was, tradition. Exactly. Right. We're with Cynthia, Wesley-Esquimaux, Truth and Reconciliation Chair at Lakehead University in Thunder Bay, talking about the national anthem after Australia just made a slight change to theirs to include its Aboriginal population. So, Cynthia, what would be the way to make a change? I know you mentioned how you sing it. What would be the suggestion from you and others that you've spoken to?
For Australia or for here?
For here.
For Canada, again, it's part of that conversation. It's there's recognition in wording. Words are important. Obviously, you can't take them back once they're out there. But certainly recognizing that the home that we call Canada today is on native land. The entire country, when you look at it, has some kind of an agreement, some kind of a treaty process. Some kind of an arrangement that was made with the Indigenous peoples right across Canada, like Australia. So recognition, it's a small thing. Again, it's a word, but it carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And so, this one in Australia, I would say, as long as they actually participate in the reconciliation plans that the people that there have been working on and being a part of, then, there may be some acceptance of that. But this voice in Parliament, just like here in Canada, is going to be equally important because we've asked for the same things. Why do we not have the representation in Parliament that we should have? That should be like the Maori. in New Zealand who have a voice in Parliament and have seats that are set aside for them. That's something that seems to work. It doesn't work perfectly, but it's certainly a larger step in the direction that I think we all want to go.
I love how you put it, it's a word, but it's got weight. As you see, Canada's path to truth and reconciliation, let's get to the weight. What do you think the Trudeau government, this Liberal government, should deliver on, regardless how long they're in power for? But what do you think should be next and what they deliver on, and the heftier items, not the words?
Well, the water issues have to be addressed very quickly. Child welfare absolutely has to be addressed. The same is true in Australia. Stop taking our kids. We give jurisdiction and authority. There has to be restoration of jurisdiction and authority right across Canada, and recognition that there are laws, Indigenous laws, Indigenous education, and even education is another one. So these are big issues that have to be resolved, and the restoration of jurisdiction authority on the lands those are going to be the most important things that Canada can do. And I know that they're working towards what they need to do. We've got 630 First Nation communities across Canada, Métis and the Inuit. So it's not a small task to undertake. But let's just get to it.
Hey, Cynthia, thanks for coming on the program. That was a really fun and interesting conversation. I appreciate your insight.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and stay safe in Thunder Bay. That's Cynthia Wesley-Esquimaux from the Truth and Reconciliation Chair at Lakehead University in Thunder Bay.